later on. Well, we welcome everybody back into Herrion Holds Court. We're about midway through the first semester. And Coach Herrion, it's a great time just to check in. You've had the team. Practices have begun. They've been going on. They really are going to pick up here in the coming days. So can we just start there as to, we know it's midway through the academic first semester, but from the basketball perspective, where are you with your team's preparation for the season?
Sure, Murph. And first of all, it really is great to see all of you. I know we've all been through a very, we're not done yet, but it's been 7+ months, since we lost down at UMBC in the quarterfinals last year at the end of the season. And when the pandemic hit us, and, we've gotten through it, as far as, we're back in school. First of all, let me say this. I think you all have to understand the phenomenal job that the state of New Hampshire, the university, our administration, the athletic administration, the amount of time and effort that they've put into during the summer, all the protocols and everything to try to give us an opportunity to come back to school and try to experience that as normal a college experience as the students can, and then give the athletes an opportunity to play. It's been unbelievable. I mean, the school's testing the entire student body twice a week. They have to drop off COVID tests on Wednesday and Saturdays. All staff is testing once a week, and knock on wood, I think we've kept this thing up to this point. They've done a great job. They really have. And I think we all know we have some tough days, I think, ahead of us, with the weather getting a little bit colder, in the fall and the winter rolling around. So, we all have a responsibility. I think, obviously our players in our program has an enormous responsibility to not only keep ourselves safe and healthy, but also protect each other. The staff has to protect the players have to protect the staff. And the longer that we can just stay negative with our results, then the better chance that we're going to have an opportunity to play this year. I'll say this, Murph, it's when you don't have a spring with your players and then you don't have summer school, in our world, in our occupation, when the longer you're not around the players, it's really, really tough. It's such a connected, profession. I will say this, I'm very, very proud of how the players have come back off such a long layoff. We started classes on August 31st. We had protocols that we had to go through athletically to get us back on the court. The first week of school was just like testing, physicals, making sure everybody was okay. The second week of school, they allowed the teams to start getting into the weight room and lifting. There was no basketball at all. The third week, we were allowed to finally get in the gym with our players, and it was one coach, one player, one ball at a basket, and we just started with individual workouts. Now we're into week 7. We knock on wood, we've stayed negative with all of our players and staff. We are at kind of full go right now. I think a lot of the veteran, I'll use the word veteran players that are on the call tonight. I think you all remember back when we were playing. Today for us was like Christmas Day. It was October 15th. And you all remember what October 15th was back in the day. That was always the first day of official practice. We never had summer school. We never had fall workouts. And, so we're into it now. And the kid's doing a great job. So, we're just a little bit banged up, not because of the workouts, just some, previous little bumps and bruises. And, it's full go right now.
Knowing players have to wear masks, everyone wears masks on the UNH campus. Has that had effect one way or the other on how things have gone once you're in the gym, or does it feel as normal as it has in the past once you get to this point?
Well, I think we all know, we have to follow the protocols that are handed down by the state, by the governor, by the university, by the administration. And I will say this: it's unbelievable driving down Main Street when I'm either coming into school in the morning or I'm leaving, like, early evening after practice or whatever. It's amazing how many of the students are adhering to the mask rules. It really is. It's unbelievable. We have to wear masks in the building. The staff. The staff has to wear masks on the court. The players were in masks up until about a week and a half ago. And now what the players can do in our workouts, and now that we're starting full practice, when we go to full exertion workouts in practice, hard drills, 5-on-5, up and down full court, they are allowed to remove the masks. It's tough breathing when you start getting, I think, that heart rate up. It gets a little bit difficult. So, but the staff, we have to keep the masks on. When we bring the players in for like individual workouts, they will wear the masks. And I give the kids a lot of credit. You know how young kids are. It's just kind of sticking to the rules, and it's not a normal thing for them. And they're doing a great job with it. They really are.
As a reminder, this is Herrion Holds Court. This is our mid-October edition. For many of you, you've been on these Zoom calls with us for a while. I've been in this quarantine kitchen with Bill Herrion for months. When we get back together and it's Herrion Holds Court in the room 125 before a game, you won't need me anymore. So it's been nice to have this relationship with you. But you'll notice, new addition to the quarantine kitchen. This, Neil Lavoie, our equipment manager, will be after me, Coach. Brand new, out of the box. These are the UNH men's basketball shorts and jersey for this season. They look pretty sharp.
Yeah, just came in yesterday. So, Chris Moore, our assistant, does all our gear ordering, did a great job with these uniforms. It's our new road uniforms. So we're hoping, that we're going to get a chance to put these on, come November, December. We're looking forward to it.
You referenced the leadership of your players and the older players and how things have progressed so far. Who are the guys who are taking on a leadership role, and in what ways are they doing so?
Well, I think what's really a positive about what we've gone through and being away from each other for a really, really long period of time, I think we're very fortunate and lucky right now that we have a veteran team. We have a lot of players returning from a 15-win team last year that did a great job of turning kind of the program and the season around from the previous 5-win season. I think this would be a very tough stretch if you had a really, really young basketball team. So I think when you look at our older players, Chris Lester, Josh Hopkins, Sean Sutherland, Sean Sutherland had a great, not all of our players had the fortune to, during the summer, a lot of states were closed down because of protocols. Gyms weren't open. Weight rooms weren't open. Sean was fortunate out in Minnesota. He was able to get into gyms out there and get in some really, really good workouts with high-level players. He's come back and he looks terrific. Josh Hopkins was here all summer, even though our facilities were shut down. Then you take our junior class, you take Marquis Maltsby, had a great summer down in North Carolina. Nick Guadarrama, Jade Martinez, and Meekness Payne. I think you look at that group right there, Murph, those are our veteran guys, and those are the guys that are leading the way. And I think the fact that we, a year ago right now, and I say this all the time, magazines are starting to come out and preseason, polls are starting to come out. I've never, ever really put any stock in preseason stuff. I really haven't. All I say is a year ago right now, we were picked dead last in our preseason coaches poll, ninth out of 9 teams. And what I said to the players is, I don't think you're a 9th place team. I know you're not. But what that says is that's what the other coaches in the league think of us right now. And what we talked about last year was just trying to get respect back because we had a pretty good run a few years ago. And the guys did a great job of winning 15 games. So we've earned that respect back. And I think when the polls start coming out for this year, we're going to be picked fairly high. Okay. But that doesn't mean anything. We'll decide I always think it's where you finish, not where you start. And I think we have a real hungry group of guys right now. I think they're very motivated to get going, to play and see where this journey takes us.
A year ago, a couple of injuries took out players who would be part of the rotation. And so I think a lot of people are curious how they're coming along in their rehab, and meaning Nick Johnson and Blondo.
Yeah, Nick Johnson was a freshman last year out of the Bronx, New York. He went to All Hallows High School in the Bronx. And when we recruited Nick, he's about a 6'4" kind of lefty wing athletic player. And he tore his ACL, unfortunately, last summer in summer school in a workout. So he did not play at all last year. He's going to give us added depth in the backcourt. He's a big, strong, tough guard, kind of like a Sean. He's probably not as athletic as Sean, but he has the same physical attributes as Sean. Blondo Chichengu, who's from Montreal, remember, did play the first 6 or 7 games of the year last year. If you were at our Bryant game last year at home that we won in overtime, Blondo had a big hand in winning that game. And right after Thanksgiving, the Saturday right after Thanksgiving, down at Florida International University in Miami, Blondo ruptured his patella tendon. He was playing great and missed the rest of the year. Nick Johnson is back 100% full go. He's practicing. Blondo still has a couple more weeks. I would say November 1st, and he'll be back full go on the court.
How are the new guys, meaning transfers and freshmen, how are they acclimating to UNH and fitting in chemistry-wise?
Yeah, they're doing really well. Our freshman guard, KJ McClurg, who's out of West Virginia, he's a big guard. He's about 6'3". He's got a strong physical body for a true freshman. With Blondo out, he's been playing the point guard in practice on one of the teams, and obviously Marquis Maltzby has been the point guard on the other team. I think KJ might be more of a combo guard, though. He played the 2 in high school. He played on a very good high school team in West Virginia, and the point guard on his high school team is a freshman point guard at Bowling Green University, where Taylor Matos, who's from Kearsarge High School in New Hampshire, went and transferred back here. Taylor Matos and Quan Murphy are 2 transfers. Obviously, Taylor out of Bowling Green, about 6'10". We really like him. Very mobile. He's got a chance to be a really good player. And Quan Murphy's a 6'4", 6'5", kind of big guard. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina, but the last 2 years he went to Houston Baptist University outside of Houston, out in Texas. And we've got a freshman walk-on guard at Lebanon High School, right up near Dartmouth, John Willman. And John played at Lebanon High School, a former real good friend of mine that a lot of you know on the screen here, Dave Fosher. Dave Fosher's a UNH alum. I worked as an assistant coach with Dave Fosher 30 plus years ago at Merrimack College for Bert Hamill. We've known each other for years. And Dave Fosher really, really recommended John Willman. And our head manager last year from Lebanon High School, who's now down at South Florida, Braden Estes. Braden coached John in AAU, and Braden did a great job and recommended him highly as well. So those are our 2 freshmen and our 2 transfers this year.
So that's a good update on where the team is right now, Coach. And questions are starting to line up in the queue, so we'll get to a lot of these. A reminder, if you haven't asked one, go into the chat room, put your question in, we'll get to it. And a lot of the questions, Coach, are about when will we have a schedule, or what do we know about who the opponents will be, when you can start. What we were told by the NCAA, November 25th was the first possible day of college basketball, but I don't want people circling their calendars and saying, I'll see you November 25th.
Well, just to update everybody, Murph, originally the start time to play this year was November 10th. That was the original start date. That was way before the pandemic. And we had, we were going to open down at North Carolina State, at NC State, on November 10th, but that all got bumped back when the NCAA pushed the start of the season back to November 25th, which is the day before Thanksgiving. I feel pretty confident that we are definitely going to have a season. I think the concerning thing, though, is that, everybody was talking, month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, okay, how can we do this? And how can we do this safely? And then everybody looks at the NBA and says, oh, we got a bubble. The NBA is the way, the money that they put into the bubble in Orlando. I obviously, I think at the college level, you just don't have that kind of money. And I think putting kids in a 2 or 3 week bubble, like maybe on a college campus to play games, I'm not sure from a mental health aspect is great as well. Um, so, you know, I feel confident we're going to have a season. I'm a little concerned with the way the NFL is going right now and where college football is going right now with the positive cases. Because what you got to understand is that if anybody in our program tests positive, then your whole team is going to have to be quarantined for 14 days. Um, Here's the rules now with the amount of games you can play. Um, there's a lot of these MTE preseason tournaments that are going on where you go to like the Mohegan Sun and you might play in a 4-team kind of round robin tournament. We are not in any of those tournaments. So when we've added NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, to the America East as a 10th team. So I think the plan is with our conference is to try to play 18 conference games. That allows you then to have 7 non-conference games. We can play no more than 25 games total. So right now, we've had non-conference wise, we've had teams scheduled from before the pandemic even hit. For example, we went to Central Connecticut last year. We have them coming back. We played Bryant. We're renewing the series. We were supposed to go to Holy Cross, but the Patriot League came out about 2-3 weeks ago and said they're playing no non-conference games. Merrimack, it just went to the Northeast Conference and went Division I about a year ago. We've tried to start a series with them. So there are some non-conference teams that we have on the schedule. Now, what's going to happen is, number one, our testing at UNH is through the roof. They're not going to allow us. I know they're not going to allow us to play another school and another program if their testing protocols are not at our level. They're not going to allow us to do that. So a lot of, I think, playing games is going to come down to testing. I cannot tell you, I think the league right now has developed many different models of how to try to play the 18 conference games. I don't know which model they've selected. What I do know is the ADs and the presidents are voting, I think, very, very shortly. It might be within a few days on where our conference schedule is going to go. And that's about all the information I can give you right now.
And that's a lot of information. So there's different ways we can go. I want to go back to the testing side because, yeah, I think UNH deserves credit. And you described it well, Coach, of what the testing has been so far. Sometimes we take for granted there's a lot of people on this call, perhaps, who have never even had one COVID test. How many have you had so far, Coach? Have you kept track?
No, well, I had a minor medical thing that I had to go through the hospital and get a COVID. I've had 10. Yesterday was my 10th COVID test. And fortunately, I've been negative. I'm 9 for 9. I haven't gotten the 10th back yet, but I hope I'm 10 for 10. Yeah, and I think what's going to happen is the NCAA did come out, so everybody knows when we start playing games. Now the student athletes are going to be tested 3 times a week. And it's really interesting. When you look at a model, I don't think you understand the impact. Like, let's just say we play hypothetically a game against Albany in January. And let's say the day after the game, one of the teams tests positive, a player tests positive. You're going to be shut down for 2 weeks. And within 2 weeks, as former college players, you all know, you probably play 4 to 5 games in 2 weeks. You're going to lose 4 or 5 games. Now, there's an NCAA rule to be eligible for the NCAA tournament in March. You have to play a minimum of 13 games. So you're going to say, oh, 13, that's easy. But when you start looking at it, and if you get knocked out for 2 weeks, heaven forbid you get knocked out for another 2 weeks, potentially 25 games goes down to 13 pretty quick. So But we do have, I think there's going to be weeks built into the schedule in January, February, where you're going to be able to make up games. I think if unfortunately you have to miss some games, if that makes any sense to you. But the testing is going to be 3 days a week. And we're going to get tested before we play somebody. You're going to get tested right after you play them. Then you're going to get tested again before you play the next week of whoever that is. So they've got it down pretty good, I think.
And while there's no reason to say UNH is going to say, hey, let's rest on our laurels, we're already doing a great job. I think it should be a testament to this university that other schools in our league, I don't want to say all of them, but a lot of schools in the league have been reaching out to UNH saying, how is it you're able to do what you do? And they're trying to bring their standards up to what is happening here. And that means the adjustment shouldn't be as drastic for our guys because they're used to.
Yeah, our guys, like I said, our guys have to drop off a COVID test every Wednesday before 5 p.m. and every Saturday morning before noon, twice a week. So it's nothing new to us. I would like to think we're probably the gold standard, maybe in our conference or maybe at our level. I think what we all got to understand, this testing, it costs money. It's money. It's expensive. And again, I can't say enough, the job that our university's done. It's been amazing just, to keep everybody safe. Our numbers have been, knock on wood, our numbers have been very low.
Earlier this week, President Dean did address the university with a town hall and talked about a number of topics, including sports and the hope that we can have our sports take place, meaning winter sports like basketball, but also the fall sports who are being postponed to the spring. And he also said he'd like to see UNH students be able to attend these events. This is a really important part of the fabric of the university. So we're not going to say, hey, this is how many people can come into the gym right now. We're a long way from there. But just the idea that the administration wants sports to be such a part of the university life, it says a lot, I think, about what athletics means.
Yeah, I think so, Murph. And I also think the reason that I would imagine President Dean put that out there for the students to at least go to a sporting event. I gotta think it's from a mental health standpoint of just being able to get out of the dorm, go see a team play, go into a different environment, and that'll be great. We haven't even discussed yet. I know it's being discussed at the athletic administrative level and the university administrative level as far as fans attending or not attending. We're anticipating if we start the season in November, I would imagine we are not going to have fans to start. I spoke with our marketing people on a Zoom call yesterday, and I don't know if Taylor's on this call or not, but they asked me, like, Coach, what can we do to help the environment? If there's no fans in the crowd. And obviously, when you look at the NBA, I think anything that the NBA touches, to me, anything that Adam Silver puts his hands on, they do it as good as anybody. They really do. Now, obviously, we don't have that kind of money. The first thing I said, if there's nobody in the gym, we better have music. Okay, we need music, number one. So I said, we got to get a DJ. We got to get somebody that can spin some good music. And we got to try to make it as much of a home environment as possible without fans. So some of you might see cutouts of we might get pictures of you with cutouts, and we might put you up in the stands. Now the one thing is, all the games are going to be televised and live streamed, right, Murph?
Yes, I was going to say that even takes on more of an important role. Our ESPN broadcast.
Exactly.
I know John Scheinman has been on the call and Brendan Glasheen. So we do a tremendous job with Wildcat Productions and Ben Gilbert. The audience naturally should increase quite a bit with people, number one, if they'll be allowed in, and others we understand won't be quite ready to come back in, even as some of the restrictions are lifted.
But Murph, here's what I'll say to you. I just want to piggyback on the students coming to games. I'll say this. One of the biggest differences that I've seen coming back, like even with our players, I think this online remote learning, like most of our guys, let's say they have 4 classes, I would say 3 are remote online and 1 might be a live in-person class. I think being stuck in their apartments in their dorms, being on the computer, you with me, doing their, I think they get a little stir crazy. And what's happening is our guys have been up in the gym. I'm talking all the time. It's good and bad because the other day I grabbed all the guys that fell. Listen, I really like, I love that you're in the gym. I love that you're working on your game, but I got to ask you a question. Are you doing any schoolwork? Okay. Because you seem like you're here way more than somewhere else. But I think we have to, like, I keep going back to, you know, they need to get out. You know what I mean? Right now, there's not a lot of things to do. We really emphasize with our players every day, stay out of the large groups, stay out of the large gatherings. You just have to put that stuff on hold right now. I think they're doing a very good job of that. So they do need an outlet, if you hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the students have, this is an example, and I know our country right now doesn't always exhibit this, but this has been an example at UNH of everyone pulling in the same direction. The students, administrator, staff, wearing the masks, social distancing, and the reason we're still open, a lot of schools are not.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we have to wear the masks in the weight room. But yeah, you're exactly right. Is you got to understand, everybody, that all of our sports are actively practicing right now. It's not just men's and women's basketball or men's and women's hockey because we might be playing possible games in November. Everybody's practicing. And I think from a mental health, like you look at, I mentioned to somebody today, like women's lacrosse. I think they're a spring sport. I want to say they played 2 or 3 games at the beginning of last year, Murph, maybe. And then the pandemic hit and their season got shut down. Now think about this as a former athlete, all of us, is they virtually have not played have not played in 2 years now. Like, because there was a spring before that, if you hear. So I think it's great that all of these the student athletes are allowed to at least be here, practice, and I'm hoping that they're able to play their sports once the spring rolls around.
When you think about how things ended last year, you remind me that it was during spring break for UNH that it was announced the rest of the semester would be remote. Well, here in 2020-21, there will be no spring break. President Dean talked about the goal of the first semester was get through Thanksgiving, and then the rest of the semester would be remote, including finals. And then the second semester won't start until February 1st. So it's a little extra time. And the reason why there will not be a spring break, it's not a bubble, but getting everyone back in campus and keeping them on campus, it is believed is the best way to keep everyone safe. So in between there, Coach, maybe there's time to play some games where there's not classes where you have to necessarily hound the guys for doing their work.
Yeah, exactly, Murph. And I think on the flip side, and I see, I think Yanni's on here, I believe. I think Alvin's on here, Jordan Bronner, Ryan, for a lot of former players are on here. And I think you all might agree that probably I think I might be wrong, but the toughest time maybe up on campus is when that first semester ends and you have that long semester winter break with nobody on campus until the second semester starts. Well, what's going to happen this year is, like Murph said, once Thanksgiving hits, I think November 20th, they're sending all the students home. And like Murph said, we're not coming back to start the second semester till February 1st. That's what, November, December, January. That's almost 2.5 months where these athletes are going to be on campus, on their own. I think there's no question it's the safest way to do it, but you're right. I think that's going to be an opportunity where we got to try to get a lot of games in. That's when we'll be kind of in our quote unquote bubble, so to say, on our campus.
One of the questions, and we'll get away from the virus side, but this I thought was very interesting. Norm Jones brought it up. Says it's very proud of UNH as the school has received national attention on how to control the virus. This must give parents peace of mind that their kids are protected. Do you still have talks with the parents this time of year, and do you get a feel they're checking in to say how are things going up there in terms of COVID?
I've Zoomed with the parents. I want to say maybe 3 times. It was, I think, I remember back in May, maybe the end, and we had one, I think, late in the summer, right before they came back to school. I think we've kept the parents pretty well educated on what's going on. I am going to have a Zoom with the parents very shortly in the next week or two when we get a look, because we got some stuff. There's some NCAA legislation that's being passed. If you, I don't know if any of you follow it, that I think has to be discussed. And so the parents really understand what's going on. You know, I don't want to speak too soon. Like you look at holidays coming up towards the winter, if schedules are, so there's a lot of things that we have to talk about. And I always try to keep the parents informed, okay, as to what we're doing.
That's a good segue to recent news about the eligibility waiver for seniors this year who are now been told they can have another year of eligibility because of all the uncertainty. So what does that mean to the program?
Well, I don't, I don't know. I mean, I guess obviously the way I understand it is that because they're anticipating this not being a quote unquote normal college basketball season, I think there's obviously unbelievable commitment to have an NCAA tournament in March because there's obviously so much money involved with that. So I think the NCAA is so committed to trying to get this season in. How many games we play, I can't even begin to tell you. And like I've said to you, and I wrote this down, we don't control how many games we do in a way. The virus is controlling, I think, what's going on in all of our lives right now. So if it's not a normal season, they're going to grant all the winter sport athletes another year of eligibility. So the way I understand it is if you're a senior this year, you get another year, you know what I mean? And so everybody gets another year. Now, where I think it's going to get confusing is if you start recruiting players with next year's class that are going to be coming in as freshmen. Now, I think like high level, like the Power Five conferences, I think are going to honor, like if they're bringing in a freshman class and they bring their whole team back, they're going to honor the scholarships for the incoming freshmen as well. Now, I don't know if those guys will have to redshirt. I believe at UNH, I doubt very much that we're going to be allowed to go over our allotted 13 scholarships. I don't think that's going to happen. I almost promise you it won't happen.
Yeah, so we'll be keeping an eye on that because that's really just breaking news, and every school has to figure that out. It's not cut and dry by any means. Although in some cases it does give some peace of mind, I imagine, to seniors who wondered what their last year would be like.
Yeah. I'm happy for the seniors, but it's also going to be the player's decision. If the player doesn't want to come back for the extra year, that's their choice, And I'm assuming most guys, I think, will want to play. I would believe that. And what I would say to the players, we haven't addressed this yet because I think the vote might have just went through yesterday. I don't know if it's totally official yet. My whole sell to the players is, and I've told the kids going into this season, I truly believe that we have the pieces back in this program and we have the players and the talent back in this program that we can give this league a run. And I say, well, listen, if we're going to get another year of eligibility, we're going to be a year older, a year stronger, a year more mature, a year more, veteran. We can win it next year. So I'm hoping that's why anybody would want to stay, especially if they're a senior, if they want to get that extra year.
And we already touched on this. We don't know the schedule. We know there's a lot of conversations that we'll get to the president's level. But among the many scenarios, I don't think this would come as a shock that the idea of a balanced America East schedule seems far-fetched, knowing the league ranges from Maine to UMBC. So you might see yourself play regional opponents more frequently.
As far as in the league?
Yeah, I would. I mean, not that it's official, but it seems like a rational type of idea that New England schools might face each other more.
Yeah, and I think what all of you have to understand, like as we sit here on October 15th, there's still state regulations with a lot of these schools, and I don't know, in New York, in Maryland, in New Jersey, and that I don't know if some schools can even travel right now or can leave their state, or if you leave the state, do you have to come back and quarantine for 14? I mean, there's so many moving parts. This is so fluid right now. I would imagine we're going to probably have to try to get some relief on that, I guess, through the state of New Hampshire. I mean, we can't be, I don't know if we can be going out of state and then every time we come back, it'd be impossible to quarantine for 14 days. But that's way above I'm not involved in those discussions. We're told if we're going to play and then we'll just show up and play.
But it's got to be difficult, Coach. This is my chance to tip my cap to you and your staff, knowing all these ideas are bouncing around your head, and yet you stay focused on the day-to-day of getting your team prepared for whatever the season will be and whenever it will be.
Yeah, what I've told the players is I think it's pretty certain that we're going to play games. I've told the players I can't tell you when, I can't tell you how many. I said, but let's, if November 25th is the first day that college basketball can play, and if we have a game scheduled if we do, I don't know yet. Well, guess what? That's 6 weeks from yesterday. And that seems like a far ways off, but in our life, the way we opt, it's right around the corner. So what we've told our guys is one day at a time. Let's just, all the other stuff is so out of let's just control what we can control. And I think the thing that we have to control first and foremost is keep each other safe. Do your job. It's an awesome responsibility that we all have right now. And I think if we do that, then I think we're going to have a chance to play some games.
What does it mean, Coach, that here we are sitting on a Thursday night, most of us in our T-shirts, cool new uniforms, in our homes. We haven't gone out very far, very often. And yet you have so many former players and people who have been close to the program glued to their computer screen just to learn more. The caring of the program and the people who support it, you can't say enough about them.
Well, we're obviously, this is very uncertain times. We've never been through this before, so there's no blueprint on how to work through this. There really isn't. I will say this. I just think with our team, with our players, we've always tried to recruit character guys first. I think anybody that's been around our program, we have great guys. They're good people. And I think that's really important when you're going through a stretch like this, and it's great to see everybody. Some players that have not been on, I haven't seen in a while. I really appreciate you coming on. I really do. So we're plugging away. We're plugging away.
And this question always comes up, Coach. People say, how can we help? They always want to help in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes the answer may be just stay safe, right? But any other advice for people who want to give or do something now?
Well, I just don't know how much I don't know exactly. Maybe I got to get together, Jack, Paul. I don't know if we can do it. We can't do anything live, I don't think, right now. Here's what we are going to do. And I threw this idea by Murph yesterday. We're going to have a virtual practice, okay, where we're going to try. Ben, I hope, is Ben on here? No. We're going to try to streamline or live stream, whatever the word is, a practice. We will let you know ahead of time when it is. And I think it's going to give you a great opportunity to just view our team. I think that can be a positive if we can do that. I think you'd like to see that. I can get a wireless mic and just kind of talk along the way of who the players are, who the new guys are. And I think it would be more of a scrimmage type of situation where we're playing 5-on-5, just so you guys can get a look at the returning players, the new guys, the transfers, and just kind of get a feel of where we're at. I think that would be a pretty good idea.
At this point, Coach, I think most of these people would accept watching you play golf in the virtual Jerry Friel Memorial Golf Tournament because they wanted to get together for so long.
Oh, yeah. No. My golf games, no, it's broke. It's broke.
Well, Coach, it's been another fun night talking with you. We're getting closer. Sometimes it feels like it's right there, and other times it feels like, how is this going to happen? But we have to keep the faith. Thankfully, everybody's been safe, and we're talking basketball.
please do this. And I offer this out to everybody who's on the Zoom right now. At any time, please send me an email. If you have any questions, a couple of you do, and I think they understand. I will be as transparent and as honest and forthright. I don't have a problem sharing information in our program. I really don't. I'll tell you what I know. But if you have any questions or anything, send me an email and I'll update you and fill you in. And like Andy Leeds, Andy sent me an unbelievable, Andy, I know you're on here. That video that you sent me the other day, in regards to Andy Leeds sent me a video from a long time, I believe, friend of his, a military person, of kind of how to respect the national anthem. And what it was the Virginia Tech basketball team, Buzz Williams, who coaches. Andy, I thought it was unbelievably powerful. And it was great. And I think it's something that we're going to address probably with our basketball team as well. We've had a lot of things over the summer, over the the time that we were away, that obviously hit our country, with a lot of racial and social injustice situations. We had many Zoom talks with our players. We had former players of ours on the Zooms to talk to our players. What we, and I want you to understand that, if there's ever a time, I think, for the players to have a voice, it's now in this country. And I think if it's a time for the coach to kind of step back and do more listening than talking, it's now with my players. And I've said to my players, I mean, you want to have an impact, you want to try to make a change, you probably got to try to get out and vote on November 3rd. We have all of our players that are eligible to vote registered. So I think that's a real positive. We're trying to help them in that direction. And a lot of issues going on, as we all well know right now in our country. I've told our players that the one thing that I can guarantee you, I might not have all the answers for you. I will listen to you, is, I have your back. I will have your back in whatever you decide to do. So I think that's important. I really do. But I will say this. I really like our team. I really like our team. I really mean that. We have older guys. We have veteran guys. You take a Blondo and a Nick Johnson, who did not play last year. Now you add those. They're two good players. We have pretty good depth. I'm going to have some really hard decisions when it comes time on who to put on the court. But I think in a season where there's so much unknown and games could come at you one after another, it's probably a good year to have some depth, to be honest with you.